You don't need to spend over $100 to smell amazing, and today I've got 12 different fragrances that are going to prove that point. Hey friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope you're doing well. Everything I talk to you about is going to be linked in the description below. Feel free to check them out down there. We're going to kick things off with the fragrance that is new, and you can find it for 60 bucks on Amazon, but what I would suggest is waiting a little bit because then it's going to be even cheaper at discounters. And by even cheaper, I mean probably a lot cheaper. It's the new one from Davidoff, Cool Elixir. And yes, that is a tiny 1 ounce bottle. Yeah. So like I said, you can find it on Amazon, and you may be like me and say, oh, cool, I'm gonna go ahead and pick that up. And the picture may look like a 100 ml size bottle, but you may want to double check the size before you pull the trigger. But like I said, it's a Davidoff. It's gonna hit discounter soon, and when it does, it's gonna get discounted heavily. And I would say eventually it's gonna end up being like 30, 40 bucks, something like that. Now the fragrance itself is a little bit reminiscent of something like Sauvage Elixir with some major changes. It has the overall idea of Sauvage Elixir, but it's sweeter. It's not as aggressive. Definitely on the spices, those are reined in a good amount. Instead, it has more of like a sweet lavender that's a little bit fresher, a little bit cleaner, but then it still has that same overall idea of kind of coming across like a fragrance that has 1 foot in the past, you know, a little bit of a throwback masculine feel to it, but done in a modern way. That's kind of what this is. And yes, it is an elixir, which means automatically some people are gonna write it off and be like, we don't need any more elixirs, get that crap out of here. Which to be fair, there are a lot of elixir fragrances out there, like this one, or that one, or that one, or that one, or that, you get the idea. But in terms of something that is masculine, that's classy, with a nice little touch of sweetness, that is a potential compliment puller, with decent performance that's going to be cheap, this right here is really, really solid. And it's gonna tick a ton of boxes for a lot of people out there if you give it a chance. Just don't buy a little 1 ounce bottle like me. Or actually, if you want like a little travel size bottle, or if you don't go through your fragrances that much because maybe you own too many of them, then maybe the 1 ounce is fine. I wouldn't know anything about that.
You sure about that?
The next fragrance on the docket is this one, Missoni Wave, which this is definitely not under the radar or anything like that, at least if you're really into fragrances, because it's been one of the more talked about cheapies out there over the past few years. And for good reason. For not that much money, again, assuming you're shopping at discounters, which is about the only place you're gonna find this nowadays. But again, assuming you're shopping at discounters, you get this for a cheap price, has a great looking presentation. It's got a magnetic cap as well. Some people out there say magnetic caps don't matter. Those people are wrong. They're like fidget toys. You gotta mess with it. Missoni Wave, in terms of scent, a little bit similar to Chanel Allure Homme Sport or Versace Pour Homme. But for a lot of people, this is the best of the three, kind of like the Goldilocks of the three fragrances. Maybe Allure Homme Sport is a little bit too heavy, too creamy, too sweet for use in the middle of summer. And maybe for you, Versace Pour Homme is too airy, too light. Well, this one kind of falls in between the two. Great for summer, great for spring, early fall, good daytime fragrance, safe office fragrance, and a compliment puller for cheap. Now the next fragrance is a little bit out of left field, so you're gonna have to stick with me on it. It is Escata's Sentiment, which for some people out there, they're gonna go, Escata? They make men's fragrances? And the answer is, no, not anymore. They don't, but they used to. You can't really see them, but up on the top shelf, back behind me, are a bunch of the Escata fragrances for men that used to be available. And some of them are really, really sought after, like Casual Friday or Magnetism. Sentiment has been one of the ones that you can consistently find even years and years and years after discontinuation. And it's not expensive either. This is one of those discontinued fragrances that you can pick up for about $35. And essentially, nobody is going to be smelling like this, because the only people that know about it are either people that wore this in the early 2000s, I'm talking circa 2002, 3, 4, 5, and people that are really into fragrances. Everybody else, Don't even know this exists. In terms of notes, this one has juniper and lime, along with pink pepper, nutmeg, sandalwood, cedar, and vetiver. It doesn't smell ultra dated or anything, even though it's over 20 years old at this point. Has a nice sweetness to it, actually a little more of a fruity aspect than you might expect, but it is not overdone on the sweetness. So a lot of fragrances nowadays, you know, really heavy with the vanilla, very, very like sticky sweet. This one is more kind of aromatic, fresh, with a little bit of sweetness working through. Good versatility. I would use it spring, summer, or fall, daytime, or evening. The only potential drawback with it is not that strong. To be fair though, when it came out, it was more acceptable to have a fragrance that would have a more moderate scent trail. Nowadays, a lot of fragrances are almost too strong, where you're like, dude, seriously, I'm gonna have an asthma attack and die because of your fragrance, and I don't even have asthma. Let's go next with the clone fragrance. I've only got a couple in today's list. This one is called Reverie Aqua. Now, of course, when it comes to affordable fragrances, clones are typically the most affordable out there. You can pick them up sometimes as low as 20 bucks, and a more typical price for a clone would be somewhere like 30, 35. Compare that to retail prices nowadays, and you can see why a lot of people are going for them. This one right here has a magnetic cap, not as fancy as the Missoni one, but still got a magnet. Has a nice little design on the bottle. Bottle itself, pretty plain. And this one is by Zamaya. Don't remember if I said that or not. If I did, now I've said it twice. And this one is a clone of a very popular fragrance, Valentino Uomo Born in Roma Intense, which is my favorite in the entire lineup. To me, it's really well balanced. Lavender, a little bit of woodiness, and vanilla. This one captures that fresh and sweet combination extremely well. And with this one being a little bit more under the radar compared to a lot of the more popular clones out there, it does give you something a little bit, if you know, you know, if that matters. To 99% of people, I say it doesn't. So yeah, nice sweetness, a little bit more syrupy sweet than the other ones that we've talked about so far, but extremely well done, great quality and cheap price. Now, as I said, you wanna be shopping at discounters to get these for the best price possible, and that really counts for just about anything, whether we're talking niche, designer, clone, or if you can find them at a discount or indie. But if you want to make the price even less, I have a bunch of codes you can use to do so. A couple updates in case you missed them. The Gift Express code, Gents15, that will still get you 15% off at Gift Express, but it has to be an order over $250. If it's under $250, it's a 10% off code, and then there's also Gents10, which will also get you 10% off. So essentially, if you're spending more, make sure to use the 15% off code. If you are not, then you can still use the 10%. And I think Gents15 is supposed to give you 10% off if you don't reach the $250 threshold. Then I've got JOMASHOP codes that only work within the JOMASHOP app, so make sure you use those if you're shopping at JOMASHOP. And then more codes for the perfume box, which is fantastic for cheapies and also clones, among other stores. Next fragrance, Bentley Silverlake for men. And it's not a huge deal, but if you get this as a tester, it will have tester emblazoned across the front of the bottle, but mine still came with the cap, so I guess I'm okay with it. This right here has a striking similarity to Acqua di Gio by Giorgio Armani. But not just any Acqua di Gio, because if it smelled really similar to the Eau de Toilette, maybe it wouldn't be as big of a deal, but this one smells similar to the discontinued Acqua di Gio Essenza, which commands a hefty premium nowadays. And the best part, you can find this for about 35 bucks. So it gives you something extremely fresh, easy to wear, and decently unique, at least as much as an Acqua di Gio can smell, because again, Essenza is for under 40 bucks. But I feel like we can go even cheaper, and we can, with this Baldi Sereni Signature. This one never took off in a big way, but it smells similar to some really, really popular fragrances, Mont Blanc Explorer, and also, of course, Aventus by Creed. And price-wise, you can find this for under $17. That is about as cheap as you will ever find. So with this one, you get a year-round fragrance, any season, daytime or night. It is gonna lean a little closer to Explorer than Aventus, so be aware of that. In terms of notes, you have apple in here, you have bergamot, you have Akigala wood, also leather, amber, and labdanum. It has more of a green facet to it compared to Explorer, and also the woodiness has kind of like a peppery feel to it when you smell it. And I would say between this and Explorer, that Explorer is probably a little bit easier going, and of course, it's from a bigger name, Mont Blanc, compared to Baldi Sereni, so that's why it's more popular. But if you wanna go just dirt cheap, and you want something that's gonna give you a similar scent profile, check this out. After that, Mont Blanc Legend Blue. We go from talking about a Mont Blanc to talking about a Mont Blanc. Oh, Yeah, perfect. It's just hard hitting. And I also want to say there are a lot of other cheap fragrances that you could get that smell fantastic that I'm not talking about here today. Even other ones from this house, like Explorer or Starwalker or one of the other legends, because they're pretty much all cheap. But there's a whole lot of stuff that I could put in here, just not enough time. So Legend Blue, this one a little bit reminiscent to the original Legend, of course, which is similar to Fierce by Abercrombie & Fitch, but this one is actually closer overall to Parfums de Marly's Percival. So I know we're talking about a whole lot of fragrances that are all kind of like sharing the same bed to an extent, but if you drill down really far, that's the one this is closest to. So yes, it's gonna remind you of the original Legend, it's gonna remind you of Fierce, but it's closest to Percival. And that's because it comes across a little bit more modern, a little more contemporary, with more of this sweetness that you find in fragrances nowadays. Also, of course, with like a little bit of a clean aquatic feel to it to an extent, which is gonna capture that whole Legend Blue feeling in this colored bottle. And this is a newer release, but it has dropped in price to the point that at discounters now it's pretty affordable, and it wouldn't surprise me if it drops even a little bit more as time goes on. Up next, Ferragamo's Bright Leather. This one actually took a while to really hit discounters consistently. So for a little bit there, it would pop up and then be gone pretty quick, and then you'd have to look around, you know. Basically, you'd have to buy it at full retail if you really wanted it. And it's kind of a shame to an extent, just Ferragamo in general, because they put out really solid stuff. Compared to like any other designer out there, their stuff is just as good, but it does not seem to resonate quite as much. The good part about that is it eventually hits discounters for a really heavily marked off price, and then we could scoop it up, but yeah. What's unfortunate about that though is you'll have lines like Uomo, which had some great releases. The original Uomo, Uomo Signature, top-notch stuff. Heavily discounted, also those ones could fit in today's video, but they just didn't sell, I guess, enough, and then they replaced it with the leather line, and now it's like history repeating. Bright Leather though, this stuff, really, really good quality. The price at discounters has dropped to $30 on the low end and about 40 to 45 on the high end. Of course, leather is one of the notes in the fragrance, otherwise it wouldn't be called bright leather, I guess. But you also have citrus off the top, bergamot, grapefruit, mandarin orange, you have rosemary and basil as it dries, a little bit of musk, some woods. It could remind you of the discontinued fragrance Aqua Fahrenheit by Christian Dior. It's kind of in that style. So fresh, a little bit sweet with this underlying leather, touch of like a petrol light vibe. Smells fantastic. Though I will say if you're a younger guy looking for something more on like the really fresh sweet side or the really warm sweet side, that one probably won't appeal quite as much. If you love vanilla, you need to know the next one. This is Mercedes-Benz Club Black. This is the Eau de Toilette. They also have an Oda Parfum that came out recently, but that one is not cheap yet. I would assume as time goes on, it probably will become cheap, but right now, like right this second, it's pretty much available at the fragrance outlet for full retail. And it's like 130 bucks, so yeah. And this one used to be pretty expensive because everybody wanted it. So it sold out at every discounter, you couldn't find it. And the only people that had it were people on eBay who knew that everybody wanted it, so the price went, it went up that way. Yeah, right up there. But then as tends to happen, it came back in stock at discounters. Everybody that wanted it got their bottle, so it kind of evened out and it didn't become this whole thing where you couldn't find it anymore and the price went down. And you can still find it for a really nice price. The scent, amazing. Like look, you would probably not expect Mercedes-Benz to be dropping some of the best scents out there on the cheap, but they are. I guess it shouldn't be that big of a surprise though, because we did talk about a Bentley fragrance earlier in today's video, and Ferrari used to have some really good fragrances until they discontinued literally all of them. So yeah, of course there are some really good fragrances from car brands, but there are also some abomination fragrances. Lamborghini, Maserati, those are garbage. Oh, Nissan? Oh, dude, the Nissan fragrances are, I mean, they're Nissan level, yeah. Shout out to all you Nissan Altima drivers. I see you. It's like one dude out there like, what? Why you say F me for? I know that you're a good Nissan Altima driver, but There's a reputation. That's all I'm saying, dude. So yeah, like I said, vanilla in here, absolutely killer, quality, fantastic, fall and winter time monster. Could remind you a little bit of Guerlain Spiritueux Double the Knee, only way cheaper. Also cheap, this mustache, Eau de Parfum. This is another one actually right in the same style as a Mercedes-Benz Club Black. Not in that they smell the exact same. You would use them in the same times, fall, winter, and everything like that. But this is one of those ones that was heavily in demand. Could not find it anywhere, but nowadays you can find it easily for a great price. And also Mustache Eau de Toilette is really solid too. It does not smell anything like this. It smells kind of like Eau Sauvage, Eau de Toilette by Dior. That's Eau Sauvage, not Sauvage. And specifically, like I said, the Eau de Toilette. It's a little bit like that, but kind of smoother. It's in that style. This one smells more similar to YSL's Tuxedo. So rich, ambery, warm, sweet, sexy, classy, sophisticated, all of that. Bottle is super heavy, like presentation, really nice. And it costs nothing. And also, I know that everybody into fragrances knows about this one. I know that, but your average person probably doesn't. Cologne time, the last one in the video. It is this one right here. It's oh no, not mystery. It's tobacco mint, but it smells very much like mystery tobacco and looks suspiciously similar to mystery tobacco. This is one of those presentations where I look at it and I'm like, I mean, look, whatever. I'm not in the business, you know, whatever, like I said, but I don't know. It's pretty similar. Can we do it side by side right here? Can we? Yeah. But quality wise is really good. And as this bad boy has aged, it has gotten better with age. The tobacco smells fantastic, sweet, rich, deep. And look, Mystery Tobacco by Herrera, amazing, fantastic. It's back here on the back wall. If you can afford it, scoop it up. It is killer, but it also comes with a killer price tag. But if you're unaware of how it smells, it is kind of between Carlisle and red tobacco. So like if you drew a line right down the middle, took parts from each, blended it together, that's kind of mystery tobacco, and also kind of how this one comes across, because it's what it smells like. Last but not least, we're gonna go with this, Coach Eau de Parfum. Now, when it comes to Coach, pretty much all of their fragrances at discounters, very affordable. So you don't have to spend too much, and most of them are built around just wearability. They're made to be worn, they are made with versatility in mind, and so they're not overly challenging. You know, it's the type of thing that you buy and you use. You buy and you use. They don't really go for the type of fragrance where you buy it to wear it once per year. That's not really the vibe. And because this one is newer, it is gonna be a little more expensive at discounters than most of the other things we've talked about here today, but it is still quite affordable in the grand scheme of things. In terms of notes, you have cardamom in here, you have cedar, you have geranium, as well as a little bit of leather, bergamot, and vetiver. In terms of how it comes across, it's a little similar to Sauvage Elixir. So we started with something a little bit in that style, and we end with something a little bit in that style. This one does not go as sweet as Cool Elixir does, which I kind of hate that name. It should be Cool Water Elixir, but they dropped the water. Instead, it's just like, Cool Elixir. But yeah, not as sweet as that one. A little bit smoother, I would say, a little more reined in compared to Sauvage Elixir, not as aggressive, with a nice woodiness as it dries down and a very supple leather note. I'd say spring, fall, winter, daytime, or evening, super versatile. So there we go, guys. There are 12 different fragrances that prove you don't even have to spend $100 to smell amazing. And really, you can take $100 and you can scoop yourself up 3 different things that will all smell amazing, instead of spending $180 or $200 for the newest designer release at full retail. I want to thank you guys for hanging with me here today. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourself. See you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.